Welcome back, everybody. Episode 48 of the Women of Wrestling podcast here in Ring Bells. We're excited about this one. It's Irish Stew Allen here with Freaky Lee Burton.
Yes, exactly. And it's a guest who has been a guest before. And the last time we spoke to her was 2 years, 6 months, and 9 days ago. Or if you just want to count in days, it was 924 of them.
Yeah, CM Punk would be happy with your day counting.
I am such a frigging stato.
But yes, episode 7 of the Women of Wrestling podcast, which is way, way, way back in the mists of time and way back in our archive. You can check it out in the archive. We talked to Amazing Kong back in those days about her career up to date, and now we get to talk about what she's been up to since then, which, hey, if you didn't know, involved a run in WWE, all sorts of interesting stories.
A shed load of speculation as well, quite a lot of which we managed to extrapolate into thousands of words over the last year or so. So it's good to be able to take some of these rumours, get them debunked.
Or confirmed.
Or confirmed.
Yes. So yeah, I mean, there's nothing really more to say. You all know who Amazing Kong is, a.k.a. Kharma, a.k.a. Awesome Kong. She made a return to the ring at Shine a couple of weeks ago. And hopefully that's going to be the start of a more long-term return. Here's where you're going to find out all about it in the next hour or so. But first of all, quick thank you and hello if you're listening to us for the first time on Stitcher Radio as well. We recently added the podcast to that as well. It's another outlet for people to listen to. So if you've got the Stitcher app on your iPhone or you listen to it on your computer or whatever, much appreciated. We've very much like to hear any feedback you got. Send it to us at ringbells@gmail.com or facebook.com/ringbells, or in fact Twitter @ringbells.
Enough small talk. Let's do this.
Let's do this. Let's talk to Kong. Okay, and we are back on the Women of Wrestling podcast with our guest, someone we are very, very, very pleased to welcome back. Once again to the show, we have Amazing Kong. Kong, welcome back.
Thank you for having me, Stu and Lee. It's a pleasure to be back.
It's great to have you back. It's great to talk to you again. We had you on the show a couple of years ago, and you've had quite the time in the last couple of years.
I'd say so. Yeah,
that's saying something. Yeah. But I mean, what I want to talk about first of all, I mean, let's get things right up to date. You're back. You're back in the ring. You were back in the ring for the first time at Shine Wrestling a couple of weeks ago, teaming with Jazz against Mercedes Martinez and Rain. How did it feel getting back in the ring after all that time out?
Oh, it felt great. I mean, it really felt awesome. The way that was booked, I seriously couldn't have asked for, a better scenario to come back to, to face two people that I'm familiar with their work and their rhythms, and to team with Jazz again, who I've teamed with before, was really exciting. To come back and come straight back to a main event was excellent.
How did you feel as far as, I mean, obviously with being in a tag team, your time in the ring was limited, but did you feel ring rust? Was it weird?
It was a bit weird, but it at the same time it was like riding a bicycle as well.
Good. And I mean, how did the Shine deal come about? I mean, how did this end up being your big return?
Well, I moved back down to the Florida area where Shine takes place, and of course, Lexi Fife is the booker for Shine, and I had been working out with her weeks prior, and Lexi does the Slammin' Ladies, and working out with all the girls who are participating in Slammin' Ladies just made that itch to get back in the ring that much stronger, and to the point where I just couldn't refuse the invitation.
Well, you were doing that before Shimmer, so it was around the sort of Shine 4 time. So was this idea about having you and Jazz team up on Shine 5, was that like about a month in the making or so?
No, less than that. I would say about a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Really?
Oh yes, it was quite a quick decision.
So when you went to train them with Lexi just before the last Shimmer tapings, I mean, was it at that point you kind of thought I might want to get back in the ring, I might not, let me go and see how I feel?
Oh, definitely. Because prior to that, I had, kind of cut myself off from the wrestling community. So there was nothing that was influencing me to want to, return at that time or, had me thinking about, returning back on the indie scene at that time. Until I got with the ladies and, watched them roll around the ring and, did some drills. And I said, I need to get back in front of the people that love me, which is the wrestling world.
Well, backtracking just a little bit then, what made you decide to go to Slamming Ladies then?
Well, I had moved back to the Tampa area, and, Lexi Fife is kind of like, the den mother for all of us young wrestlers in Tampa, Florida. So, whatever you got going on, you talk to Lexi about whatever you have going on. So since I had moved back to the Tampa area, I had been in contact with Lexi and let her know there's some things I wanted to work on. And, of course, she invited me out to work out with the Slamming Ladies and, to participate in some of the activities. And it just got that itch back to kind of help me make that decision to go ahead and get in the ring.
And you met some new names when you were at Slamming Ladies. Is anybody there who you hadn't met before who kind of caught your eye and thought, yeah, this one looks interesting?
Well, thank you for putting me on the spot and making me...
I'm casting your mind back about a month now, maybe about a month and a half. The people who you just met for about a weekend.
And we did a simultaneous tweet. We did a synchronized tweet about the okay, now I can't remember the tweet, but it was really awesome.
I vaguely remember this. It was like something about the bridge to success is determination or something like that, wasn't it?
Yes. The bridge to success is determination. That's exactly right. And we all did a synchronized tweet on that. All of us girls, just as giddy as we could be, and it felt good. And because partly because of that tweet, determination and just being determined, I'm like, I just want to get back into the game any way I can.
So you talked about teaming up with Jazz. I mean, what was it like working with Jazz again? I mean, you two are almost like you seem to be a team that just seems made for each other.
I believe we really are. We've been calling ourselves Rhythm and Brews.
Yes, I like that.
With my strength and with Jazz's technical ability, it makes for a really great combination. She's one of the best technical wrestlers I've ever seen. And when you add my brute strength, that's a combination that people come out to watch.
The match itself on Shine, it had a sort of what's the best way that I can describe the ending? It had an ending which seemed a bit sort of haphazard, and that was partly due to, I imagine, to the injury that Reigns sustained, suffering a broken wrist. But with that match as well, when it was over, how did you feel getting that first match out of the way?
Not till days afterwards, did I think about, having the match and how I felt having, come back, because, once somebody is hurt in the ring, that's what you think about.
Sure.
Are they going to be okay? Rain is, she has a wedding coming up, and, I'm busy thinking about should we bedazzle her cast, or to make sure she has a really magical day. It was you never want to see someone, and I hate dispelling the magic of wrestling like that, but broken wrist and stuff, you always, especially my first match back, even though as people were watching it, said it's just a freak accident, it's still bothers you.
Sure. Apart from doing Shine a couple weeks ago, you also did a shot the next day, also teaming with Jazz for Florida Underground, where you got to meet Maiden Sin. What's your take on Maiden Sin as a tag team?
Oh, really sinister.
They're great, aren't they? We're big fans of them here.
Yeah, they're two sinister little girls, right? Just real mischievous.
But also classy. So.
Oh, very, very, very classy, and very old. A very old school approach, which I like, because us growing up, watching wrestling, you watch and appreciate old school style, and they have a bit of an old school style, a bit of a gorgeous ladies of wrestling approach to wrestling that I really appreciate.
Just on a side note, you mentioned gorgeous ladies of wrestling there. I have to throw this in here because you mentioned it, but you were in Las Vegas when there was the gorgeous ladies of wrestling sort of talk going on, the documentary, the possible revival about it, and you were interviewed for it.
Yes.
I mean, that was one of the first times that we'd seen you since. We'll come on to this later on, but since your Royal Rumble appearance, so it was quite interesting to see you just sort of show up there. It was very unexpected.
Oh, yes. I was there for the Cauliflower Alley Club, which I usually attend every year. And I was actually under the impression I was doing an interview for the Cauliflower Alley Club. So when I was getting glow questions like left and right, I was a little bit confused, but hopefully I handled myself well. But it got a little bit confusing for a second.
Funny you mentioned Cauliflower Alley, actually. That reminds me of the last time you were on this show, and I think one of the last things that we talked about on your last appearance, and everybody that hasn't listened to that, please go back in the archives and pick that up and listen to all about Kong's career in Japan and TNA and so on. But one of the last things you talked about was being at Cauliflower Alley a couple of years ago and talking to the likes of Jim Ross and Stone Cold Steve Austin and how much they were bigging you up, and you were talking about at that point your hope to move on and get a deal with WWE, which obviously did happen. So can you?
Yes, for me, I can't talk about Cauliflower Alley enough. I believe it's a great reunion to that bridges the gap between veterans and up and coming wrestlers, and gives a chance for the younger wrestlers to network and get to know people that really are decision makers in the industry. So for those aspiring wrestlers who are listening to this, I highly advise that you go to www.caulifloweralley.org and see about attending next year's reunion, because it's something that you should really experience.
Yeah, we were talking about that. I think it's going to be in April this year in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, as I say, you made some various networking connections there with the likes of JR and Steve Austin and so on, and I mean, talk to us then about how that then becomes actually getting your WWE deal. How did the contact come about to you actually getting to sign that mythical contract?
Well, of course, people, I'm sure they remember the various tweets that JR and Stone Cold Steve Austin put out that kind of gave me a buzz, and almost in anticipation of whether or not WWE was paying attention and listening, which they were. few months after that, I had gotten a call from Tommy Dreamer, who I have yet been able to see again and thank. He called and asked me if he could pass on my phone number to John Laurinatis, and I said, of course. And 5 minutes later, I got a call from John Laurinatis, and that's where the relationship between WWE and I began. A few months after that, I was invited to Connecticut for what turned out to be an interview, and where I was offered my contract, and just overwhelmed with surprise, gratitude, and whimsy.
So you didn't have to do any kind of tryout match or anything like that. You went to the meeting, and there it was, the contract sitting for you.
So to speak, yeah. We had a candid conversation. He asked me about myself, and we talked about a few things he perhaps heard about me in the rumor mill. And, at the end, he decided that I was a person that they would want to work with.
Now, who was in this conversation? Was this just you and John Laurinatis?
Yes, it was.
Okay. So you were signed up and you had your deal before you ever had a chance to meet Vince. Is that right?
Yes. Yes.
Now, I'm always fascinated. Anybody who's ever met Vince, I always want to know what people's impressions are of him. He's just a character who fascinates me. Tell me about meeting Vince for the first time.
Well, it was actually for I believe it was the Royal Rumble of the year before last in Boston, and at the time I was living in Boston, and Mr. Laurinatis said, why don't you come on down and check out the show? So I drove on down, and was backstage and, just enthralled with the whole production of it all. And I'd actually just used the bathroom and just washed my hands and hadn't really had a chance to dry them.
Oh, dear.
When Triple H had grabbed me and said, okay, let's go meet Vince now. I'm furiously trying to wipe my hands off. And next thing you know, I'm shaking Vince McMahon's hands with wet hands, which I'm sure he probably took for clammy hands. And I don't know how he may have interpreted that, but
let's hope it was clammy hands.
Miss Clammy hands. You kind of, when you get hired there, at least for me, anyhow, you envision what you're going to say, what you're going to do when you finally meet Vince McMahon. And it didn't go anything. I mean, everything I had prepared to say went directly out of my head. And, I don't even know if I made a declarative sentence, but...
it was all vowels, wasn't it?
It's unbelievable.
Going in about you.
Right, thank you for hiring me. But for me growing up, my brother, who was my younger brother, used to tell me stories of Vince McMahon that I was so gullible to believe. Like Vince McMahon was the boogeyman and he was under the bed, and
wow.
I grew up with a kind of a fear of Vince McMahon, but meeting him and then working with him, I got to understand that he is a different person than what people, propel him to be.
Okay. Well, you were described by a lot of people in your WWE run as being a Triple H project. Is that a fair assessment? I mean, you were signed by John Laurinatis. I'm sure obviously Triple H would have known about this, but were you a Triple H project? Was this one of his babies?
Yes, so to speak. At that time, Triple H was a new executive, and they were kind of rehauling the way they introduced talent and going back to an old school way, so to speak. And after my hiring, I was invited back, to Titan Towers and met with the team and met with Triple H and met with Stephanie and met with different departments. And it was he was there every step of the way as far as the decisions of how we were going to introduce me and such. He really held my hand through the whole process.
One of the things that was curious about you joining WWE as opposed to a lot of other people, and that's the fact that you managed to bypass the whole developmental process. You weren't sent to Florida to learn how to work in a different way or anything like that. You were just you were eventually brought straight onto the roster. Was that again a Triple H call?
That I don't know. We can only speculate. That I don't know. I think that might have been a collaborative decision by the creative team to do that.
Well, creative is probably the next place to go because, as with most people when they go to WWE, they get a name change, and you had a name change. So Amazing Kong was gone, Awesome Kong was gone. So Kharma was your name, and where did the name Kharma come from?
It's a funny story. Like I said, with the new creative process, with Triple H being the new executive there, they included me with the process, and they said, come up with some names and submit them. And I came up with for the months all the way up until my debut, I would submit the most outrageous.
Whoa! Before we go any further, we need to hear some of these names.
Oh my gosh! Oh, okay. I'll give you some. I was gonna say one from a book, but I'll give you some. I think one was Barcissa. I think one was oh gosh, what was the other one? Barcissa. I have to go back into my notes, but Barcissa was a big one, and Barcissa Be Wicked. That's what it was, because wow. I kept pushing to have the initials BBW.
I was gonna say I got that. Yeah.
And so I was coming up with these atrocious, scary names that were just kindly passed by creative, and finally, just days, I think it was, before I was brung down to WrestleMania in Atlanta that year, to do the reels with the dolls and everything. I had spoken to one of the talent liaisons, and I said, well, do they have a name yet? And he says, well, no, I haven't heard yet. I don't know. I said, okay, well, I'll send some more over. And I was driving home, and I had submitted 3 names. I can't remember the other 2, but Kharma had came out of nowhere. Mainly because I speak about Kharma in my life often, about, always trying to make the right decision, whether it be hard hard for the fear that, to do something dirty, karma will come back on you. And the fact that usually if I don't like you, there's a reason. Or if I have gotten into an argument or an incident with you, or have run up and bitch slapped you, you deserve it. So that's the principle that I usually lead my life, is all about karma. And so I had written down the word karma on a piece of paper, and it didn't look special enough to me. And I tried to think, how would Vince McMahon think? What would, how could he trademark this? And I said, well, put an H in it. And so I put an H in it. And then I sent it off, and about a week and a half later, I got the word back that's what it would be. And when they did the promo reels with the harm and the karma, people were like, "Oh, that was so smart of you. Oh, I would have never put that." I was like, "Yeah, 'cause I'm a genius. Yeah,
I
totally,
meant that, yeah.
totally meant to do that." But actually, it was I believe it was Triple H's assistant, Pete Leone, that discovered that. So thanks, Pete. And then the rest is history as far as that.
The vignettes then came up with you flicking the heads off various little dolls. What was obviously the idea would be that you'd be coming in to, I guess, squash the Barbie dolls of the WWE. Is that the idea?
Yes. That was basically the idea of, a new monster heel for the ladies.
Yeah, which is interesting because, there's a Diva mold, and you're anything but the Diva mold, and we love you for that. That's one of the reasons why you're special. But it's been a long time since they had anybody that didn't fit that Diva mold. Again, can you talk to us a little bit about when they were discussing how they were going to use you? I mean, was your signing part of a changing of the guard as far as people's opinions of what a wrestler could look like or what a wrestler could do in the ring, or was it just like, okay, we'll have one special attraction that's not in the mold and everyone else will be still in the mold?
Well, I don't think there's any one answer to that question. I think there are a lot of variables. People always put out there. It cracks me up how people that have never met people that they talk about, in this company, I'll hear people, just random people say, well, Triple H doesn't like, women's wrestling,
That is a rumor that's gone around. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, he hates women's. I'm like, okay, so when did he tell you that? Over, dinner?
Sure.
I'm just saying, no, I think that if they see a product that they can make money on, these are not dumb people. This company, may have had things, in their product that people didn't care for, and then, they got rid of them. But if they think that they have something that they're going to make money on, a product that's worth investing, then they're going to do it. I think that the wrestling community made sure by following me and giving a buzz, and then you got JR, then you have Stone Cold Steve Austin, and you got your Tommy Dreamers, and you got your Mick Foleys that are backing up everything the fans are saying. That's hard to just turn away from,
Because at the end of the day, if they see dollar signs, they're going to invest.
At the end of the day, if they see dollar signs, they're going to invest. Exactly.
So was there a plan then? Did they tell you maybe at the start, this is where your character as Kharma is going? This is what you're going to be doing? And if so, up to what point were they talking about?
Well, everything was so new, and I had to leave before everything began. So we didn't even have the opportunity, I don't think, really to search how the fans are receiving me. Okay, they're receiving me this way. So this is the route we're going to go. We didn't get that opportunity. I mean, we did see how the fans received me, and I think it was a really great reception. But we didn't get a chance to say, okay, we have this kind of reception. This is where we're going to go with it, because as quick as I came, I was gone.
It's interesting you say that, though, because in the bits that you did do, there seemed to be this sort of running theme where you'd be beating up on some of the divas, but it was always to be Kelly who would be the one who was almost spared. And it was almost like you looked at her saying, you'll keep, and I'll get to you eventually.
Well, yes, that was, we were warming up to that, I believe, perhaps, and perhaps not. Like a Tootsie Pop, the world will never know.
Of the people you did have a chance to get in the ring with, and not in any official matches, admittedly, but of the people you did happen to have some physicality with, you were the last person that I guess saw Michelle McCool off into retirement. She was a multi-time champion and one of the people who was, I guess, conceived as or believed as one of the Diva locker room leaders. How did you get accepted into the locker room? Did everybody invite you in and say, "Hey, welcome to the party," or was there a time where it's like people looked at you a bit side-eyed and they weren't sure how to take you?
I found the locker room very inviting. I believe that a lot of it had to do with me approaching the locker room in a very respectful manner. Had I not, things could have turned out very differently. There are, having been 10 years in the business, I believe I know how to behave myself in a manner that is respectful to the people that have been in the company before me. Whether or not they've been in the business longer than I have, they still have been in this company that I'm new to before me. So there's a certain etiquette that must be performed when you come to a new place, especially a place as prestigious as WWE.
So you got in, and you start to work your angle. You got a few run-ins after matches and so on, and then of course the news comes through that you've fallen pregnant.
Yes.
The timing was obviously difficult because you were just starting to get your run there. But I mean, how was that received? How was that news received by Triple H or the people at the top? And obviously we know how it was dealt with. I mean, were there discussions as to how could this best be dealt with?
Oh, well, of course. And those discussions will all be revealed in my memoirs.
See, now, you talked about that before we started.
To give away over the airwaves. It's too juicy, I'm sorry.
Okay, fair enough. We got to ask these juicy questions, but
oh yeah, I'll ask away. So the people better grasp what to expect when I release my chronicles.
So, is it fair to say then that there were quite a few different options as to how this was going to be dealt with?
Oh yeah, there. I mean, you have to imagine it. Imagine you just invested time and money into a person. You've got departments, sound, digital, art, video, everything. This big debut, and then now it has to stop abruptly. So of course, there's a lot of planning and decision making that has to go on with that. And at the same time, it's like new ground.
Sure. Regardless of how
situation.
regardless of how you felt at the time, which obviously that's a happy time for people. Were I assume there would have been people who would have been very upset with you for allowing this to happen.
Well, again,
Is this a
something you'll
book
have to
question?
read.
That's a book
But,
question.
well, I'll give you one little tidbit. Um, someone backstage, I won't reveal who. Now I'll reveal it in my book. Um, came up to me and said, "Congratulations," but they said it in a way that was basically like, "Yeah, congratulations, you just fucked up your career," but. But they say congratulations. So, it is what it is, without there are words that don't need to be spoken about the situation because it is what it is. We know, the fans know there's a could have been that wasn't. So people are a bit peeved about that. It was bittersweet for me, but again, I was feeling, the 10 years I worked to get to that point. So yes, the timing of this was off, but it was, the decision I made was the right decision for me. But I know many women who would have perhaps gone the other way, but that wasn't the decision that I was comfortable with.
Well, like you said, you were comfortable with the decision. You went ahead with the decision, and it was the right one for you. The way that WWE decided to acknowledge this and openly acknowledge it, allow you to go out there and to say your piece and leave the door open for you as well. That seems fairly unusual for what WWE tends to do. Sometimes with those kind of situations, you just kind of shuffle to one side and forgotten about. But they just decided to make a big point about this for you. I mean, that's very different.
Yes, it was. Very flattering as well. People always speculate, oh, they only did it because of the deal with Dawn Marie and, they don't want to get sued, but I don't feel that way. I don't feel that way, and no one in that company ever made me feel that way at all. So I had a lot of support. More support than I expected. And right now, my priority is to reverse that slap in the face that I, figuratively gave them.
I'm not sure, you can correct me on this as far as timing is concerned. We may have overlapped slightly here, but another real interesting story that came out around that time was the story of your engagement, and more importantly, the engagement ring you received.
Oh, my engagement! Finally, talk about something happy.
I need to know about this because people hopefully would have seen it on TMZ and other places, but your engagement ring is a rock in a wrestling ring. It's a ring on a ring.
Yes, it is.
Which is like ridiculously cool, and so tell us about that. Let's have a little bit of happiness here. Tell us about that story.
The truth of it, yeah, okay. The truth of it, we were on our way to church, and Dan proposed. That's my fiance's name, Dan. People know him as Freight Train, and it wasn't the most romantic proposal, which is why I've insisted that he do it again, because I was actually on my way to the bathroom.
Great timing.
Yeah, it was right. We're rushing to go to church, and I'm on my way to the bathroom, and he whips out this, wonderful ring, and he says the words, and all I'm thinking is, dude, I'm clenching over here. I got it. And I'm just like, yeah, okay. Can I get to the bathroom now? Later I'm like, dude, you're gonna have to redo that because that's not the story I want to tell my kids. So yeah, that has to be redone. So he's cooking up a redo.
That's the most brilliant tactic I've ever heard in my life. What he's done is he's got you pretty much over a barrel. So you would just say anything just to get away to go and do your business. That's brilliant.
Yeah, that's really. I'm gonna tell him you said that.
This man's a genius.
He's smart. I guess he's smarter than I thought he was.
Guys, if you ever need to propose to your girlfriend and you're not sure whether she'll say yes, just do it when she's desperate to pee.
She'd be like, yes, just let me go.
Whatever.
Yeah. So the romantic take 2 hasn't happened yet, no?
No, it hasn't happened yet. We've had too much excitement over the last few months for us to really focus on that. But I'm sure whatever he cooks up is going to be really good.
So is he going to surprise you with it then, or are you going to kind of schedule this re-proposal?
No, that's all up to him. He just knows it has to be done, and it needs to be done soon because we've already started. I just this past weekend went to try on wedding gowns with my grandmother, and we were planning an engagement party here in Central Illinois for my family and friends that are here. So things are moving along. So you gotta hurry up, Dan. Tick tock.
Planning the wedding before the official engagement. That's new.
For the official second engagement, yeah.
I think she's officially engaged, just not the romantic one yet.
Well, she's got the ring.
It's not the one. It's not the one I want to. The story I want to tell. But
the story we've just got.
Right.
Wow.
That's what happened.
On the plus side, though, the ring is amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome. It is a ring that I have to be careful with. Actually, it's in Boston right now with the jeweler, Rich, who designed it. He's redoing the ropes because, I'm so hard on things. I can't have anything nice. I break the ropes, because I do things with it that, people with rings like that don't usually do. So, I'm fixing stuff and, hitting this, hitting that, and I can't have nice stuff. You should see my electronics. They're all banged up, cracked screens, and I'm hard on them. I'm just as hard on my belongings as I am with people in the ring.
Funny you mentioned about your electronic belongings, because I remember the story that you had when you were over in the UK. I think it was in 2009, where you talked about how you'd been dropping your iPhone a lot and it hadn't been breaking at all. And then I think you dropped it from about a foot off the ground and the glass smashed.
A foot. Barely a foot off the ground, and it shattered. And I mean, I had dropped this thing once from a second floor motel, landing, and nothing. Foot off the ground, bam, into that. But that's how it goes. Always.
It's like a cat. It's like a cat. If you drop a cat from like a short height, it doesn't have enough time to correct itself and land on its feet. But if you drop it from, I'm not recommending you do this, kids, but if you drop it from maybe the 3rd floor up in a building, it has time to right itself and land on its feet before, breaking all of its legs.
So are you saying that iPhones land on their feet? Is that what you're saying?
No, an iPhone is like a cat. That's what I'm trying to say.
9 lives. Mine had 9 lives until I dropped it the 10th time.
There we go. There's another analogy for you.
That works.
That was a terrible description.
That's okay. We'll keep the same.
So randomly, and believe me when I say randomly, because no one was expecting this, you turned up at the Royal Rumble last year.
Yes.
As only the 3rd woman ever to compete in the Rumble. You eliminated Michael Cole through sheer intimidation, and also eliminated Unico as well. Before you got eliminated by Dolph, I believe, and then that was the last we saw of you again. That few minute span, in an unannounced capacity, represents the entirety of your actual official in-ring WWE career, bizarrely and disappointingly. But at that point,
disappointing to you, but I got me a Royal Rumble under my belt. How many Royal Rumbles you got?
I got no Royal Rumbles. You got me beaten there. Yes, yes. But I mean, as far as what we hoped, I think we all hoped for more than just a several minute spell in the Rumble. But yeah,
Right.
when you came back at the Rumble though, and they brought you back, then presumably at that point it was like, okay, there's presumably plans in place once again to use you down the line. So you went away to, I guess, prepare to come back. What was it? What was that Rumble experience like? First of all,
Oh, well, that was very surreal. Um, first off, it was my first in ring, official on the books as far as a match is concerned, match in WWE, and to have your first ever match in WWE to be the Royal Rumble, not just on the Royal Rumble pay-per-view, but to be in the Royal Rumble and not have a stick swinging between your legs. That's that's a that can be very humbling. That's like, wow. Wow. I've got a lot of work to do to keep these people willing to book me in this fashion.
I'm sorry, I'm just going to take a minute to enjoy that particular description.
yes.
Okay, I'm back in the room.
Are you back? Thanks.
Yeah.
Oh God. I mean, now this is a difficult transition to make here from laughing, but we need to touch on something else around the same time, and that was something that's obviously affected you, a very personal tragedy, in your life as well. I'm going to skate around this because I'm desperate not to say anything that I don't want to say. Everyone knows what I'm talking about. Have you got any comments, or I mean, what can we talk about with regards to that time in your life?
Um, it was very difficult because, here I am going through what I'm going through and no one knew. And there were family members that did not know because we did not want that to get out at all. The world was expecting for the population to go up by one, and it didn't happen. And I had fell gravely ill, the details to which I will leave in my memoirs again. And the world did not know. And there was an anxiety there of the inevitable of the world knowing, because it was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
The world knew what my situation was, of planning to become a mother, or my process of becoming a mother, and having to face the inevitable of letting the world know, yeah, that didn't happen, and having to deal with people asking, how my baby is on Twitter and on different social networks, or for those who now know what the situation is, being very cruel and sending very cruel messages. That's something that does affect you emotionally. You don't want it to, but it does. And consequently, has affected my return.
Sure. Yeah, I was almost gonna say I'm surprised that anyone who heard the story sent you any negative messages, but then I guess it is the internet, and you're always gonna find people sending negative messages about stuff. That's horrible to hear. One thing I remember you saying at the time, and I don't know if you've ever had any chance in the interim to work on that or do anything about it, but you had plans to set up some sort of charity or some sort of foundation to help other people affected with the same kind of thing. Has that ever gone anywhere? Have you had a chance to work on that yet?
Yes, we just got our tax ID number for the Little Jamie Foundation. My son's name, we named him Jamie Eric Roulette. And in his honor, we set up the Little Jamie Foundation. We do plan on launching this and announcing it to the world with a lantern launch really soon. However, like I said before, there are a lot of things that I am working on and deciding and working through as to whether or not do I put my attention towards returning to the ring. Do I put my total attention to getting Jamie's foundation off the ground? Do I put all my attention to my wedding and just starting my family and just not returning to the ring? That is a decision I do weigh every day. What is it that I'm going to do? And these are things I haven't come to a concrete conclusion with yet, which is why I believe we didn't see me so soon after that Royal Rumble, and therefore which led to my release.
Well, I don't think anybody would just kind of blame you for that situation, because nobody knows how they're going to react in that kind of situation, in those kind of circumstances. And I don't think there is necessarily a wrong way to do it. But like you said, with that absence, did you think about, like you mentioned about the investment that WWE had? Did you think, should I go back to work? Should I go back and do this?
For me, when you have a lot of people that vouch for you, that root for you, that insist that this company hire you, when you have people who are legends that phone Vince McMahon themselves to request that he give, this girl a chance that doesn't look like anyone he's hired in years and decades, you feel an obligation to not slap these people in the face and take their work and sticking out their neck for granted. And I want to let those people know that them sticking up for me and vouching for me and validating me really meant the world. And I do not take it for granted. And I plan on repaying them by doing what they expected me to do.
You talked about the whole situation and the aftermath thereof contributing to you leaving WWE. Certainly, at least for a while, there was a lot of expectation that you would be back. There was a story that went around. You can either sort of agree with or say it wasn't the case, but that the Extreme Rules title switch when the Bellas were on their way out, when they lost the belt to Layla at the last minute before they left, that was supposed to be you, but that was changed. Was that the case? Were you supposed to come back at Extreme Rules?
No.
That's another urban legend then.
Seriously on my couch that night. I mean, no. I did put out some misleading tweets just to
you were having fun.
Oh, well, thank you so bloody much for that.
Yeah, well, hey, I'm bored. I don't want people to forget. You got to check in and dip your toe in the water every now and then and make sure people still love you. But no, there was absolutely no plans, no discussion, no anything about that. What happened there is exactly what was supposed to happen there on that pay-per-view.
The funny thing is, though, it seemed like there was such a buzz created. They almost had, they did acknowledge it on the show. I mean, were you sitting there watching going, oh, damn, they just mentioned me?
Yeah. I felt kind of I actually felt kind of bad after that. I'm like, oh gosh, I wonder if they, did they mention me because I sent that tweet? And now people are thinking that, and now Layla's coming back, and God, did I steal her thunder? If I did, that was pretty crappy of me. I hope I didn't, because that wasn't my intention. But once she came out, then I was like, okay, I don't have to worry because she got a big pop and that was awesome. So, but I don't know because I wasn't there. Seriously, was on my couch watching the show.
Now, the funny thing again is, though, that, you being the person to shut the Bella's mouths would have made sense, because when you left last time, that was one of the promises that you made as you left WWE, was that you hoped that when you came back that they would still be here because you wanted to, shut them up. So, yeah,
Right.
there was never any talk to that direction at all?
Well, without giving the juiciness away that I plan on revealing in my memoirs, I'm sure, I think people were upset because that's what would have made the best sense.
Yes.
But again, that really wasn't the fault doesn't lie with the office entirely. That also lies with me. I'm culpable in that not happening, because the timing wasn't there for me, and I just was not ready to come back yet. So it's, unfortunate, because if I was, then that would have made for great TV and for great blogging. But, it just wasn't there yet. After my loss last year, I was gravely, gravely ill and hospitalized many times over. And I have had and still do have a lot of work to do. So, it will get done. And hopefully by the time it gets done, that door will still be open.
Well, now, you say that, and that's fine, and you say obviously you had some health issues around that time as well, and that's all fine. But one thing that a lot of people were talking about, we were talking about, and lots of people who watch WWE were talking about around that time, and people were absolutely certain that this was the plan at one point. And again, you can either agree or disprove or deny any of this, but it seemed that everybody was desperate to see the eventual match with you and Beth Phoenix. That seemed to be the thing that everybody thought was the plan, the long-term plan for the Divas division, because for a long time Beth kind of seemed to be in a bit of a holding pattern, like they were just sort of keeping her ticking over as if they were perhaps waiting for you. That was the impression people were getting. Were you aware of the fact that there was this sort of like buzz for a match with you and Beth, and was it ever on the cards?
Oh, well, of course, because again, that was a scenario that made the most sense, and that is the scenario that the fans often inquired about during signings, and even when I was at TNA, people, we want to see you with Beth Phoenix. I hope that happens, and it's still, I've said this in a different interview. As long as she and I are still breathing, there's still a possibility for that. So, people do come back.
Well, you say people do come back, and obviously that means that you were released from WWE, and your release was very, again, like the way that you were written out of WWE with the pregnancy. It was very different, because normally with these releases, you get a message on WWE. It's about one line saying WWE has come to terms with so and so on the terms of their release. We wish them all the best in their future endeavors. You didn't get that, and to this day, you still haven't got that.
No, I believe I was transferred to the alumni section.
Yeah, it seems very weird. Yeah, you were almost sort of, in the time when they normally do a definitive exit, you got sort of shuffled, and the time when you normally would get shuffled, you got a definitive exit. It's very, very weird the way that it happened. I think there was a lot of speculation for a few days about, is she still in WWE? Is she not? We don't know.
It's well, with my release, it's a very unique. It is rather special, and the details of which not just because of my book, but the details of which are very sensitive, because of my potential return. Again, people can speculate, and some people would probably be right on, why I was released, and if I return, why I return. Right now I am not working a full schedule, and because I am not accepting a full schedule. Once I feel that I could handle a full schedule with ease, and not lose stamina and get too burnt out, then perhaps we'll get a phone call to be invited back. But there are things that take time to work through and work on, not just emotional issues, but, attitude and strength and body and health as well, that, need to be done. So once I can get my head back in the game, then, perhaps you guys will see me on the telly. I've been on the road for 10 years, and this was one situation where it forced me to take a serious break.
It sounds like, from the sounds of what you're saying, that there is the possibility of a return on the way. But it sounds like there's certain conditions which either, and you don't necessarily have to answer this, but it sounds like there's certain conditions which have either been put on you or that you've put on yourself to make sure that you are ready for any potential return in the future.
Very good at reading between the lines, Lee.
I have a dad who's a psychiatrist. It may explain a lot.
Well, exactly. Without sharing too much information, there is a destination that I should reach before I return. I believe that my release was very appropriate, and I almost dare to say overdue. So, it's just, it is what it is, and there's just work to be done on my part. No one can do it for me. I have to do it myself.
Sounds like karma. You might put it down to being karma, I guess.
Yeah. Like I said,
it all ties in.
Philosophy.
We've seen you return on Shine. Will you be back at Shine?
Oh, yes. I'm living in the Tampa area now, so you'll see me pop up at Shine. You'll see me pop up at different events all over this thing we call a globe. So, here and there, just to dip my toe in the water and keep abreast of all my many, many talents.
all over the globe, you say?
Mm-hmm. All over the globe.
So that raises the potential of international stuff. Is there anywhere maybe that you got in mind? I mean, obviously you had a great amount of success in Japan.
Yes. I'll be returning to Japan in 2013.
Ooh, any hints as to who? For who?
Actually, that date and which promotion is going to be a surprise, so I won't give much away. It might be announced, but if they do announce it, they're going to announce it, when they think it's appropriate.
I have my suspicion. I have my suspicion, but I'm going to leave it as suspicion for now. Maybe I should write it and put it in an envelope or something.
You should.
I don't have any envelopes.
You wait until we hit stop, then we can.
Yeah.
See. But anyway, so as far as future plans in 2013 and ahead are concerned, you're basically the Amazing Kong bandwagon is open for business. Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm. Yes. I'm picking and choosing which bookings I plan on taking. There's, I'm just really busy right now with a few projects that all of them need my full attention, and I just can't give it to them. One of which is I am starting a website for godparents that was inspired by my goddaughter, and that should be launching soon. I wish I had that ready to go as we were talking, so people could rush to the site. So people will just have to, keep watch on my Twitter at Kharma, at KHARMA on Twitter, which should be launching soon. And in between, all these business dealings, I'll be dipping in and out of the ring.
It's very telling that you kept the Kharma name for your Twitter. I mean, obviously, it's probably what most people know you as, but you see some people when they leave WWE, they will change their Twitter handle back to what they used on the indie circuit. But you've kept yours.
Yeah, I'm ashamed to say I think it's more out of laziness than I think it's more out of I would actually have to get on the computer, log on my computer, and I don't know, just I'll leave it. I'll do it tomorrow. Okay. How am I going to explain this to the people that didn't know me as Kharma? I don't plan on going to any other nationally televised companies, so perhaps they won't mind that I stick around as Kharma for a little bit. I am an alumni after all.
You'll be a bit concerned to know that the Amazing Kong Twitter has been taken, and there's one tweet that says, "Please follow Awesome Kong for all updates."
That's awesome.
And the Awesome Kong is a dude called Lavelle.
Oh, really?
Who doesn't seem to tweet that much.
Yeah, he may have to be backfisted.
Oh, yeah. Is he in the UK or no?
I have no idea.
No idea. I'm just trying to find out right now.
Good.
No idea at all. Only 2 tweets from this person as well. Jeez, give up these names.
There you go, everybody. But yeah, look, we're very pleased to have had a chance to talk to you again. It's been a while. Like you say, you've been off the grid for a while, and it's been wonderful to have a chance to have a chin wag with you once again, and get to see where you are and what you've been up to, and get some stuff debunked and get some stuff confirmed and so on. So it's been great. Thanks for giving us a bunch of your time tonight.
No problem. I love chatting with you guys because you know what? You're Team Kong UK.
That's right, everybody. And yeah, keep us up to date with what you're up to. And
like the latest booking, for example. We haven't even mentioned the fact that you're going to be on Resistance Pro this week.
Oh yeah. This week, this is why I'm in Chicago. I'm doing Resistance Pro Friday, tomorrow. In Chicago, we the company was actually really kind enough to fly me in a week and a half early.
A week and a half?
I could go see. Yeah, so I have family. My mother and father were raised in Central Illinois, so so my grandmother and my aunts and uncles are still in Central Illinois, and they flew me in a week and a half early so I could spend the Thanksgiving holidays with them, and which they did not have to do. So a big thank you to the Resistance, and plan on giving everyone that attends a really lively show.
It's interesting just as far as your booking is concerned for Resistance Pro, because it hasn't been specific about whether you have a match, whether you have an opponent, if you're going to be confronting somebody. Is there any hint about what you're going to be doing?
Well, usually whenever I go anywhere, there's total carnage. So if you want to see some carnage, come over to Resistance Pro, dude.
Great, a pile of bodies with Amazing Kong just walking away going, that was easy.
Yeah, right? It's just trouble. Lots of trouble. I'm a troublemaker. That's what I do. That's what you pay me to do. Create trouble. Or end it.
Or end it. I like it. Well, that's where we're going to end it. For now, at least. That's the second of our talks with you. We'll do another one hopefully soon. I don't know when, but when there's more trouble to be had, we'll give you a call and we'll do another podcast. What about that?
All right, make it a trilogy. I like it.
Yes, and then we'll sell off to Disney and they can do even more.
And put it in the vault.
Yeah. So thanks very much once again, and good luck for 2013. We will be happily following your progress, and hopefully we'll get some good karma coming everybody's way soon. And for all of you listeners out there, thanks very much for listening. We will be back with you again, hopefully, very, very soon. Thank you.